want to see the children.
Exactly.
And they see you.
And we've had cases where, when this situation is not well handled, that particular child becomes a thorn on the flesh of both parties.
Right.
And my recommendation in such a scenario is usually that it is better if the child they had is not given over, or will not remain with the person who is not married. I don't know, who we may eventually also marry. It is better that the couple and the person who the ex had the child with, they should sit down and discuss. And my recommendation is that if a woman had a child with somebody, let the communication over that child be mostly done between her husband and the father of the child.
Don't let your wife talk to the father.
What some women will do is that they use the child as a bridge,
stepping stone,
to attract sympathy from their ex. You know, that he's providing, and there are certain things she also, maybe in requesting for the child's needs, she adds her own needs on the list.
All right.
And it gets more ramified when the woman marries somebody who is less well-to-do than her ex.
Okay.
So it becomes very, very complicated. So if the father of the child and your newfound husband can be in touch, if you want to spend time with the child, you talk with the man, it is going to solve a good number of issues. One thing you do with a man that will be a problem is when you try to touch the man's ego. It's always good to, as a woman, preserve the ego of a man.
Right.
And that is one of the ways to do it. And I also think if one of the cases may be when the two people, they got involved maybe in an economic activity, maybe one brought 2 million, the other brought 3 million, and they invested in the business. It will not just be something from morning to evening. In fact, everything is just dissolved like that. There is supposed to be a discussion and an agreement of how they are going to proceed from, regarding what they had put together as an economic activity. And if need be, there should be a dissolution of that business so that the links are actually cut off. Some people are in a marriage and still maintain a cordial relationship with their ex, especially cases where the man, let's say the man is in various ways, or let's say one of the spouses is in various ways, in fact, less performant than their ex. They'll start comparing.
Okay.
That is the difficulty.
Right.
But it's like that you keep your ex aside and you focus on your spouse. That comparison is going to
you kind of touched on this a couple of seconds ago, and I was thinking about this seriously while I was preparing for this edition. The worst is when you have a child with an ex who is not married, and then you are married. The tendency is to come in there and be the spoiler, because jealousy has no boundaries. Right?
Not at all. Not at all. That is what
happens.
Is it
more trickier? It's dicier?
It is so tricky. So tricky. And I want to repeat that in such a scenario, if the couple does not handle it with a lot of wisdom and selflessness, the marriage is bound to be stressed up.
I've been witness to this, I didn't introduce him quite well, right? That's our marriage counselor, and marriage counseling is a regular feature on Inside. So every Friday you need to tune in. If you're going through the rocks with your marriage, you could have the solution here. What was I saying? I was asking myself last night, because I've been witness to instances like this where the wife says, no, I have the right to talk to him. It's friendship, period. There's nothing more than friendship. But the husband says, well, go ahead and do your friendship. And he takes advantage of that to go his own way and do his own thing.
That's what I said. Personally, I will recommend, except in isolated cases, I'll advise that the relationship should, in fact, there should be almost no relationship with your ex when it comes to marriage.
Can there be mere friends, like with mere
friends?
We're just friends, and we can discuss all the time.
With a very thick boundary wall. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the Berlin Wall. Right?
Look at it from this angle. When a man has slept with a woman already, and you finally marry the woman, he looks at you like somebody who purchased a second-hand good. the respect he has for you will, in fact, this is a reality. Nobody should claim to want to dispute this. It is a reality. It's the same thing for a woman who had been dating the husband of another woman, finally marries. There is a way that when the person comes by there, and there may be some old good times in quotes, which reminds them of the old good days.
Nostalgia. You think about those days that you want
and
to do the
it
same
gets
thing.
very, very difficult when the spouse, your newfound spouse, is less performant than your ex. It can be through, you look at the gifts the ex used to lavish. But the question I always ask is that if you think the ex was the best, could there be some very tangible reasons why you people did not end up in marriage?
Maybe you were the problem.
Could it be? And if you were the problem, this is now your crown, you carry it.
Okay.
It's your cross.
Right.
Sorry, not crown, your cross, you carry it.
Yeah, it could be a crown, right? A crown of thorns.
Crown of thorns. It could be a crown of thorns. So if it is that the person was actually the best fit for you as far as marriage is concerned, why did the two of you not end up together?
Right.
So the best thing is if you finally see that you mistakenly gave up an ex and married, that is, you kept aside a crocodile and married a lizard, you just bear it. Life is not always on a straight line. There are times it will be like that. Your expectations may not be met all the time. So it's better to bear it and see how you concentrate on your marriage, because at times you may end up losing both the teeth and the gums that you want to treat your marriage with lightness, and then you end up losing the marriage and maybe wanting to go back to an ex who had already advanced with his or her marital plans. At the end of it all, you lose the marriage, you lose the ex, and you lose your self-esteem, you lose self-confidence, and you lose many other things.
I want to thank you for coming.
A pleasure.
Just to remind you that TATOH Kenneth here is also an author. He's also a banker. He's also a minister of the church, right? But he has a book. We've been delving into that book since 1 year now, I guess. It's called Effective
Conflict Management in Marital Relationships.
Effective Conflict Management in Marital Relationships. Do you still have copies left?
Sure, I do.
It's only 3,000 francs, right? If you want to fix up your marriage or your relationship, you need to get a copy of that book. What's the number again? People should get in touch with you.
My number is 675 27 08
08
83. 675 27 0883.
Right. Thank you very much for coming.
It's my pleasure.
And I hope you out there, you learned 1 or 2 lessons from his intervention.